Okay, reached a point that a few explanations in order here. I've continued down to where the hockey tape is becoming scuffed. This is ridiculously durable stuff. I would never attempt the kind of work you're seeing here without having this, or it's a functional equivalent. Now I changed gears a little bit ago from this, which I think is 220, 240, something like that. Maybe 180, I'm not sure. And this is quite fine. I'm guessing that's at least 400, maybe 600. And have been around to where the stem is now level with the, let's see, is it going to focus? Yeah, kind of. Where the, if the plastic tape were the pipe, it would now be flush. So the next step, let me show you just how this works in case you're inclined to get a setup like this and want to mess with it. People tend to think that power tools are high-speed affairs and that, you know, you go ripping through things, and they're used for speed of work. And sometimes that's true, like a chainsaw, a gasoline chainsaw versus a manual saw. Sometimes, though, under the right set of circumstances like this, it actually gives you a third hand. And you'll see what I mean by that. I get to control the attitude in space, meaning the position of the pipe, with both hands, and my left wrist is solidly against this dust gadget here, and my upper right thigh, or left thigh rather, hip, is leaning against a bench that weighs 400 and some pounds. So I am rock solid. All I need is a magic finger to come in and sand. Well, here we go. So anyway, that's it in action, and it's not quite what people expect, in that the power component is really just a third hand. It allows you to be rock solid, and when you are rock solid, then somebody else, a machine, comes in and does the removal. Now, you don't want to get too rough, and you don't want to rev this up too much, or it'll go about the way you expect. Zip, and you got to gouge and you're done. But anyhow, it's turning out pretty well. I think it's going to be nice. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. Now, the next part gets even scarier. I'm going to change this tape, this hockey tape, for Scotch tape, the so-called magic tape kind, not the shiny stuff, but the matte stuff. And it stretches slightly, and it's as durable as this is in a microscopic way, meaning 15% or 10%, but it behaves the same. So it's like the junior brother of this stuff. And then I'm going to go at it again, just like you saw, except with thinner tape. And at that point, when we're done, we'll almost be ready to use a compound blast to get things truly leveled. Might have to do a little hand tuning with the stem off the shank, but remember we got that white outline on the inside of the face of it so that we can tune by hand if necessary. Also keep in mind while you're doing this, this line here, the end of this barrel will not be level by geometry says so. Remember, this is an irregular shape that's not centered. It's asymmetric. So if you've got a trumpet coming off of that, extended lines, and they're going to intersect that point in space, that plane, in the way they should, so to speak, and that line is not going to be level. So we have to go back after, once the outside here of the barrel is exactly where we want it, and only then do we come back and tune the scooped out area here by hand, doing whatever is necessary to get this as level as is reasonable. Now the man himself, Tokutomi's version of this, we've got this piece of it, remember, and he didn't get dead level there. So it's a tough one, and the geometry of it might make it literally impossible. We'll have to find out, but you do the best you can. For whatever reason, it doesn't look outrageously nasty when you get a little bit of a waver on a pipe like this, because of the facets in the shank and stuff seem to kind of prepare your mind to see a little variation there. Anyway, that's it. Going well, looking good. And I'm going to put Scotch tape on here and resume with this wheel, and we'll just go from there. Should be done in today for sure. There's not that much left to do once things are leveled. Alrighty. Okay. We've gone, now this is just ordinary Scotch tape. Remember the magic tape variety, not the shiny cellophane variety. And done exactly the same procedure that we did with the rougher paper, the rougher wheel, and the hockey tape. So now we're down to within I don't know, 2.5, 3/1000ths of an inch of being level here. And I've got another pass or two to go around. And I thought I'd let you watch me do it, since everybody loves the real-time stuff. And then we're going to blast it with some compound to check for scratches, and that actually will lower things by 1/1000th of an inch or so. You know how I use a buffer, a hard buffer, to reduce the tenon dimensions by a very small amount? Well, you can actually shape by polishing a little bit, and you have to be very careful that you don't create problems at the same time, but that's another issue. But that's about the only choice we have in a case like this, where you can't, remember now, you can't really take this off and do much with it by hand, for the simple reason that this is not a flat surface. And virtually all of these lines, with the exceptions of the ones along the bottom, actually have a slight curve, a cupping to them. And if you were to take this off and level that with like a, sandpaper on a stick type of thing, you're going to jack up the line. So you got to leave that slight curve there. And the only way to get a curve reliably, of course, is to go that direction, which means you would need a file or something that had an extremely gentle curve in it. Otherwise, because if you go lengthwise, you're not going to get your curve. So in this case, a power tool actually allows for greater accuracy and precision than hand tools do. which is kind of backwards to most people's thinking, but it's literally the case here. So I'll go around it one more time and we'll be just about ready to go into the final stages here. Now, if you stretch this tape when you put it on, it's quite durable. And if you cut through it, excuse me, if you cut through it while doing this, you can tell instantly. There's kind of a quick little roll up. And if you're not applying too much pressure, it'll allow you to get out of the way, and the contact won't be made between the paper surface, the abrasive surface, and the actual wood. In other words, you've cut through the cellophane into the glue, but not into the wood. So always be on the lookout for that little roll up. Okay, down one more side and I think we'll be done here. All right, that's enough of you watching. I can see another spot that still needs fetching after, but I can get zoned out in this and forget that the camera's running, and then I'll just edit it all back out. Anyway, we're just about there. You've seen every, in quotes, secret that I have to this is how it gets done. And I'm hoping again echoing what I said in the very first video I ever made, an introduction of the entire series, is I hope that somebody finds this interesting enough that they want to follow this road. I'm getting old, and somebody's got to pick up the torch and keep the old pipes alive for the next generation or 10, because they're just too damn neat to let them disappear. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So I will tweak the couple spots here and then turn the camera back on when we do the next step. Okay, I was switching over from one type of tape to the other and realized it was a good chance to show you exactly what I was talking about when I said you can snatch away the surface of this stuff but leave the glue behind. Look very carefully, dead center there. There's a little patch right there that's the same color as the rest of the shank. Yeah, that's a better view of it. That's actually a hole in the tape, and when you've gotten there, it means that you have sanded the plastic away and only the glue's left behind, and it'll start to snatch out in little tiny chunks like that, and that's when you know you've gone as far as you can go. So it will shatter and fragment when you start pulling it off from this point on. So you have to take something to clean that with. Normally a tiny bit of alcohol, meaning only damp to the now don't go pouring it on there or using a drippy rag, but usually a quick wipe with like one drop allowed to mostly dry, and then as little as you can make it, the lowest amount you can use that does the job, so that you don't go doing anything but taking the wax off the finish. That you can put right back. Color, not so much. So we're down to within about 1.5 thousandths of an inch, and that we're going to take off by buffing. And ironically, even if the tape a minute ago hadn't shattered, that's not the tape you would want to use, because it butts up against the base of the stem. You want a ever so slight gap there, because it would drop off. The buffing wheel would not go right up to the edge of the rubber if the masking tape, or the tape that was doing the masking, which in this case is Scotch tape, was adjacent. It would then you have a little ridge form, and it would jack it up. What you actually want is a ever so slight, about 0.2 of a millimeter is the right number, all the way around, and that will allow the fibers of the buffing wheel to engage the sharp edge at the back of the stem here and keep it level. So, and also the direction that you'll buff at that point matters, and I'll show you when I get there. So I'm going to clean this up, put some more tape on there, and we'll zap it and see what we get. Alrighty.